Oh, Oriole fans, Raven fans, what a week we've had here, Ravery Sports. So thank you for joining us today here on the Ravery Sports podcast. Like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. If you're watching us now, you're watching us here on Twitch, you're watching us on Twitter, you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us on Facebook. So we thank you for that. Go ahead and like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms that we have. Very appreciative if you go ahead and do that. If this content is valuable to you, definitely go ahead and do that. Genesis Notary Service /Facebook.com. Definitely on notary business. Go ahead and you can go ahead. We will come right out and do our notaries for you. We will go ahead and notarize documents for you right with our notary service document. We'll do it with care. We'll get it right for you. We notarize all your documents. We'll present the documents in a way that you will go ahead and be able to go ahead and get everything done legally. That includes our wedding official business, our loan signing business, etc. that we have. We'll go ahead and take care of that for you. As always, you can go on our website, ravorisports.company.site, and buy information and buy all of our gear on there. Ravens jerseys, Orioles jerseys, Oriole t-shirts. Just got one in today. Oriole t-shirt as well, Ravens t-shirt as well. Gonna have some Maryland stuff on there as well. So we're gonna go ahead and start that as well. And definitely the first stop on our Raven Sports Tour is this Saturday in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, right near Frederick. Definitely you can check us out there. So we are happy to go ahead and get this squared away for you today. Welcome to Ravery Sports. We will go ahead and get this squared away for you as well as we will go ahead and take a look at welcome to Ravery Sports. I think I might as well use that since it's been up there the whole time. And the Ravens' first training camp report. So now we're in camp, right? Ravens fans, okay, so the season is not far behind. We are now in camp. So the Ravens are no longer first week. They had no pads, et cetera, et cetera. Now they had pads. A lot's going on with the first training camp report. Now, I think sometimes as fans, and I do want to emphasize this because I don't hear a lot of other outlets going ahead and saying these type things. You can overreact early, okay? Last, Kyle Hamilton looked bad early. Some quarterbacks look bad early. Sometimes guys look bad early. There is an integrating of process that goes in. This is why you have camp. So we're going to go ahead and do the training camp report, of course, but you don't want to overreact, okay, to everything here. If you're hearing things here where you want to overreact, it is part of training camp, is part of a feeling out process for players, okay? So even veteran players, especially on offense, you have a brand new offense coming in. You have Todd Monken changing a lot of the things on offense. They're learning terminology. They're learning to be cohesive. They're learning to do things. So it is a bit of a process as far as that goes, as far as the Ravens getting that squared away in camp. But even though it's a process and there's an evaluation that goes on, we do understand that it's always a competition. So we want to go ahead and go over what's happened so far here in camp. What's going on so far with the Ravens? PUP, let's go ahead and explain that. For physically unable to perform. In the old NFL rules, if a guy was placed on PUP to start the season, physically unable to perform, they missed the first 6 games. Now, I don't think it's 6 games. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's 4 games. During camp, it's not a big deal at all. Just means they can't perform on that day, but they can be taken off the PUP at any time. You got 3 names. You got J.K. Dobbins, Pat Ricard, and Rashard Bateman. They're on physically unable to perform, so they're not on the field. Uh, uh, NFI, non-football injury list. You got a couple names on there. Andrew Voorhees, Tyus Bowser, uh, Tavon Mullen, Nick Moore. Nick Moore's out for the season, so he's not going to come back. He's eventually just going to be placed on IR. Andrew Voorhees had injuries, but they knew about it. He got injured in college. Tavon Mullen already, I think they probably knew because they released him, and now he's back. Tyus Bowser was the name, hasn't been on the field as well, so I don't know exactly what happened to Tyus, but he obviously had an injury there. So Tyus is on the non-football injury list, not on the field. Again, early, don't overreact too much to it early. What is a thing is a J.K. Dobbins allegedly holding out. They asked Melvin Gordon the question, and he basically got the cat about, yeah, he's here, he's just holding out. So basically, or holding in, or he's at the facility and not practicing. That's essentially what's going on. That's a whole other thing what's going on around running backs at the league. But a JK, apparently there's a question, is he even hurt or how bad is an injury if he's at the facility working every day? Is he hurt? Is he injured or whatever? Apparently he is looking for a new deal. That is somewhat, I think, behind the crux of this. JK is not playing at all in camp. You're getting more snaps from Melvin Gordon, Justice Hill, and Melvin Gordon, Justice Hill, and of course, Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is going to be on the team. Probably Justice Hill will be on the team. Melvin Gordon has a shot, I think, to be there, especially if there is going to be no JK at the start. We don't know what JK's status is. I would say a lot of people worried about Melvin Gordon's contract. More I looked into it, it's all incentive related. If he's on the roster, does this many carries, gets this many like this, then he will go ahead and play. Then he'll get X amount of carries. Then this will happen. So that $3 million number is a bit of fraudulent number. I think it's a bit much. We don't know what's going to happen with JK here. As well. Let's see. Emphasis on a passing game with Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, and Nelson Aguilar have looked really good. So all the reports I've been hearing and seeing is like when Lamar's in, they're throwing all the time. They're not really running the ball much with Lamar. They're trying to install their passing offense. They're trying to install that stuff. That's basically what they've been doing the whole time. Zay Flowers has looked like the human joystick. That's the nickname he's already been given. He's looked fantastic according to all accounts. Nelson Aguilar's looked pretty good. That doesn't surprise me. He's a vet. I think he kind of knows his role. I think he's probably the most comfortable in a way with his role and his expectation. Anybody on the team. Bateman has been not practicing, and from what I understand, he's been injured. We'll see. So it will start the season. It's even more important now with that is that Aguilar is able to play and play well because you may not have Bateman at the start. That's a big question mark what's going on with Rashard Bateman here at the start. But passing has been emphasis. Installing the offense has been important, and a lot of passing here. I mean, I've heard a couple of people say there's hardly been any runs in there with Lamar in there. It's all been throw with Lamar in there. That's why. The running has came with the other guys. Cal Van Noy has visited the Ravens. He left with no deal. From what I understand, there is not, and by all accounts, there's not going to be a deal. It looks like it may not be a deal with Justin Houston. It may not be a deal with Pierre Paul. They did bring in Van Noy. David Ajabo has looked well in camp. It's been without Tyus Bowser in there. It's been Odafe Oweh and David Ajabo getting most of the reps. they must like what they're seeing. So I think David Ajabo, especially, I think was a big risk. Look, here at the start, he's going to be your guy to go ahead and start at the season. It looks like so far it is. Got to think if he keeps looking good, but I think look, they've had many camps now. They've had many camps. They've had all the camp. They've had everything. They've looked at it. They've looked. They must like what they're seeing from David Jabo, especially. Adafi Owe was the starter last year. Kind of scuffled, kind of struggled. We'll see how it goes. But Ajabo, I think, is the bigger story because he's represented himself well. Little concern about Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown. Not brought in for this offense, brought in for Todd Monken's offense. Huntley, I think, fit perfectly. I think if you're trying to run the ball and you have a Lamar Jackson, because basically you don't have to change much. He doesn't run as well or throw as well as Lamar, but basically he's a guy you could bring in almost to do the same things. Not maybe the case in the case of these guys in terms of the Todd Monken offense. See how it goes. I don't. I like for Todd Huntley to. I think Todd Huntley will probably stay. Keep an eye on that. Maybe where it is. I mean, this is a rumor, but Teddy Bridgewater or somebody else out there, they may look for a guy a little bit better passing emphasis on the guy that they may be doing, depending how this goes. So I think it's possible. I think there's some interest in Huntley in the market. Possible. Just throwing that out there. They haven't looked super great so far in camp. But again, they are learning a new offense as well. I don't even know if they're going to carry both guys. So they may be competing with each other. A lot of times with John Harbaugh teams, they carry two quarterbacks, not three. They've been carrying three, but a lot of times they can carry two. Defense has looked really good. Justin Matabuke, Brian Washington, Michael Pierce, Travis Jones, Brent Urban, and Angelo Blackston all have shown they can knife through interior pass rushers. Defense has really been taking ahead of the offense. Defense has really looked good. A lot of people were worried about losing Calais. I think Calais is a good player. I was not worried about the line. I thought Matabuke is really good. I think Travis Jones is really good. I think Pierce is probably good when healthy. I think probably Washington's pretty good. I don't think he's at that level, but I think there's enough there where I wasn't really as worried about it. Defense, a lot of times, too, does get ahead of the offense, too. They got the same system. They kind of know each other. There's obviously some shuffling going on defense, but it's not uncommon that defense is ahead of the offense to start. That's not unusual at all. That defense is ahead of the offense at the start. So let's keep that in mind. What's been great? Defensive line and safety has been great so far in camp. That's a thing as well. So the defensive line, like we just talked about, safeties. Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams have been phenomenal from what I understand. There's no complaints about that. Kyle Hamilton, I think he possibly can go to the Pro Bowl this year if he stays healthy. Kyle Hamilton, physically, I think you could put him anywhere. I don't think I don't want to think, and we'll get to the corners in a second, but it's possible he may play some more corner than what people think from what I'm seeing here. But they've been outstanding at safety. I think this is possibly one of the better safety combinations in the entire NFL as well. So Kyle Hamilton and Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Sorry about that. Sorry about you, Marcus. Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams have been off to an outstanding start here at the beginning here. They've done well. Rakia Sin. Thought I already put this in, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Rakia Sin has been injured. So John Harbaugh said not a big deal so far. He's injured, so he may miss some time. He miss a few weeks. He doesn't really tell us, John Harbaugh. A lot of teams, they don't really like to say, even in training camp, whatever. I would say this: they generally don't get too descriptive in training camp of an injury unless it's season ending. So the fact that it wasn't that, you know, it could mean anything. This is a good opportunity for somebody else to step up. According to all reports, Justin Armour Davis has looked pretty good. Now, again, Justin Armour Davis really was way behind Pepe Williams last year. That he's pushing him a bit. So we'll see. Again, early in camp, it makes me a little bit nervous that they're even saying that. I don't even know what that means. But look, it's wide open now. So you're not going to have Rocky Sin here, Justin Armour Davis, Pepe Williams, Brandon Stevens, Kyle Blue Kelly. They're going to get a shot now. That's a concern for me the way it looks. I've been concerned about that. I was kind of not happy with the Rocky Sin signing from the very beginning. He looks okay in camp. I'm not worried about that. I mean, he probably in camp looks okay. I don't think he's an elite guy. I think they kind of made a mistake by not signing Marcus Peters, but they saw something that makes them think that this guy is the guy. So we'll see about that. So there you go. That is our first Ravens training camp report. We are going to continue to do Ravens training camp reports with that going forward. Oh, one more thing. I do want to mention this. Masalala, I think I got it right. Lalutu, I know I got the last name right, is with the first team. No doubt about it. So it's not been Ben Cleveland. It's not been Daniel Falele. He's been running with the first team the whole time. Offensive line has kind of struggled here at the start. Had a really bad day last week, apparently. At the end, it was really bad. Defensive line was just killing them. But again, don't want to panic too much. Ryan Stanley didn't play that day. And also to, again, installing a new offense. So they've got to get their chemistry together. They have a rookie there. They have to go ahead and figure that out. So again, we want to go ahead and get that out the way there. Ravens first training camp report. How are the Ravens doing at the start of training camp? All right. Top 10 list. We're going to go through them today. Top 10 guards and centers. So we got two lists for you today. Top 10 guards. We told you we're going to do interior. So we're going to do top 10 guards and centers in the league. What are we looking at again? Win rate. This has definitely helped a lot me when I'm going over these lists. Help with PFF, Pro Football Focus, and ESPN with their win rates. How do guys do win in pass blocking, win in run blocking as well? Also to obviously you look at your own eyeball test there, but also to pass weight, win rate, penalties, lack thereof, and potential. Okay, so is this an ascending player or is this a descending player? Or are they going to be about the same or are they in their prime? Okay. Hold on. I don't think I reversed it here, so let's go. All right, here we go. So let's start with 10. Got a glimpse of it there. Trey Smith, Kansas City Chiefs at guard. Chiefs have outstanding play at the guard spots. They're really, really good. I think their whole line is outstanding, even without Orlando Brown this year. Trey Smith, I think, is top 10. I think their whole inside guys, you're going to see those names a lot on this list. Trey Smith, I thought, is a great company to, I think, the best guard duo, I think, probably in the NFL. I have him at 10. I thought his win rate and pass block rate is really good. Stat-wise, he's right there blocking for Pat Mahomes. Remember, a couple years ago, they threw out the old offensive line when they had trouble in the Super Bowl, brought in a whole bunch of new guys, young guys, and it's worked. Absolutely. Kevin Zeitler, our guy. I think Zeitler is very underrated. Zeitler, I think, is one of the best guards the Ravens have ever had. Great tradition. Marshall Yandy used to be there for the Ravens. Zeitler has great strength. Zeitler is very technically sound as well for a guard. I think you could probably put him at right tackle. You could probably put him in other spots on the line. Zeitler, I think, that's the spot I think he wants to play the most, the mauler, the right guard. Winning, on pushing people down the field. I thought him and Morgan Moses were pretty good on the right side. Elton Jenkins, the Packers, I think, is there as well. Top 8 guy. I think he's a guy, though, a bit underrated. I think the Packers have had a good offensive line throughout the years. I think they've been pretty good. This guy here, Elton Jenkins, number 8. Ben Powers, our guy. So Ben Powers, look, blessing and a curse. He solved the left guard problem last year. Very good play last year. Problem is at left guard, they couldn't keep him. He signs with Denver. Denver goes ahead and plays him a big contract. Not a lot of really good guards. When you have a guy with this type of uptake, this type of upkeep, that's the only concern. Really only a 1-year starter, but really good last year for the Ravens. Going to go ahead and play in Denver. Joe Bitano. Oh, I think I'm right. Bitano. I think I said it wrong. I apologize, brother. But I might have said the name wrong, but he's an outstanding guard. He's outstanding. I thought this is now a guy. Now we're at the guy, that part of the list here. Guys have done it several years in a row. And this guy's been really good for several years. Been a staple of that Browns line. Browns offensive line, not known for a great line, but this guy has been real stellar for a long period. Win rate is very good for him. I think he's on both win rate lists. He's good. Chris Lindstrom, here's a guy as well that they really think highly of in Atlanta. Very, very good last year. I thought he's not higher on the list because he's still kind of young there. Still maybe has a ways to go in terms of years going forward, but I think he's not bad. Chris Lindstrom is 6. Good building a block for their young core there in Atlanta. Landon Dickerson. Here's some more Eagles. Eagles offensive line is one of the reasons why they were there. They have a great run game. They have outstanding quarterback. Landon Dickerson is great. Look, they have those 2 great tackles. We already talked about Malula and Lane Johnson. This guy fits right in. Mauler. Get an old school feel every time I watch Landon Dickerson as well. Like you mentioned that with Zeitler being a mauler, this guy truly is a mauler. Not the technician, not a pure technician, but a really good mauler. Joe Thuney, got no problem with him. None of these 3 have got no problem. If somebody else said they're one, Joe Thuney, I think, is outstanding. Stat-wise, I think there's no one better than Joe Thuney. I mean, I looked at it. Win rate, passing, blocking. I mean, the stats across the board were very good as well. He's a good pass blocker, I think, as well. Trey Smith is too. Both of them are very good. But Joe Thuney, I think you could argue he should be at number 1. I have him at number 3 because he's really good. Number 2, Zach Martin is outstanding for a long time in the league. I think Zach Martin, I mean, a lot of people would have him at number 1. Injury, though, last year. That's the thing. That's probably the only reason. But Zach Martin is never needs help. Very strong, excellent technique for a guard. Guards don't always have great technique. Guards, I don't think, always have the great technique. Zach Martin does. Zach Martin's outstanding. Quentin Nelson is number 1. Quentin Nelson just does stuff like you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to have guys 5 or 6 yards down the field. You're not supposed to have guys. You're not supposed to never need help. You're not supposed to be able to. Quentin Nelson is just in a league of his own in terms of that. The stats don't always show it, though. That's the only thing. I don't know if it's because the Colts are bad all the time, but he doesn't dominate in that area as well. But Quentin Nelson, for me, if I'm taking guards, this is the number 1 guy in the NFL that I'm taking. It's Quentin Nelson, number 1 guard. Let's go to center right away. So let's go ahead here. Top centers in the NFL. So center, your linchpin, your leader. Who is the guys that you want at center in the NFL? So let's go ahead and get that squared away. All right, so this time I'll arrange the slides properly. There we go. All right, number 9. Matter of fact, too, case in mind, this wasn't intentional, but there's a lot of former Ravens on this list. Keep in mind, and one of ours is on the list too. So had a lot of centers go on this list. Brian Jensen. This was the protector for Tom Brady for so many years. I like Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen is exactly prototypical in terms of if you're casting a movie, the NFL centers, this is a guy, Ryan Jensen. Look at that brace on the arm there. Guy fit through it. Ryan Jensen, I think, is solid as he comes as far as that goes. He is not one of these guys. Some guys are center guards. Some guys are just pure center, pure center. This is where he should be playing on the field. Brian Jensen, number 10 for the Tampa Bay Bucks. No longer for the Tampa Bay Bucks. No longer, get that out of there. No longer with Brady as quarterback. Brad Bozeman is another former Raven. Look, I'm surprised he didn't get a better deal last year. I think he almost even had to win the job in Carolina. Not surprised, though. This guy's a solid center. He is more of a guard center. I think he's a pretty good center, though. I think a solid, efficient center in the NFL. That's what you got here. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. A guy who is solid, efficient, who can go ahead, block for you. Brad Bozeman, I think, especially too with the young quarterback that they have. So I think Brad Bozeman is a good addition to have there. Frank Ragnow, the ragdoll, next to ragdoll people. Kind of big for the pivot, though. I think. But I think that's fine. I think he was very instrumental in the better season that Goff had, Jared Goff. I think to have a guy like this, Lions, I think this is a strength for them. So the Lions are getting better, and I think this is part of why Frank Ragnow, I think, is the guy for them. Number 8, I have him at the 8th best center. Eric McCoy, gotta stay healthy here, but 7. I think he's been pretty good. Again, used to block for Drew Brees. Kind of now just got to stay healthy. Again, this season, he's going to be in front of David Carr. Stat-wise, I think he's not bad at all. I think not. I wouldn't put him in the elite category, but a solid center as long as he's healthy. I have him at number 7 here. Ethan, let's see, Pocket. I think I said his name wrong again. Again, part of that good Browns line. The Browns line has been really good. I think they have a good interior. I think I think this is a guy. I think I looked at the win rates of the passing and really good. I think the Browns, though, I think also too have that great run game. Nick Chubb, I always look at that too. Sometimes how good is the runner in front of him doing? I think that matters. I think he's a linchpin for them, no question about it. David Andrews. New England used to have, I think you could say, the best line in the NFL, and this guy's been around here for a while. David Andrews. Dante Scarnecchia, was there forever. David Andrews, I think he's really be good on any team. I think he's a pretty good center. These now, I always say when I'm doing these lists, at the point of this where you could go from number 1 up, I think this is it. David Andrews, if somebody said he was 1, I don't have a big problem with that. Really good. David Andrews, very efficient for them. Look, he's got a quarterback too, not mobile as well, so it's very important there. Corey Linsley, I think talent-wise, absolutely you could put him at 1. Again, with the health, got to stay healthy. I think he's missed some games. You see with the captain there, I think he's a leader on the team. I think he's very good. I like him. Getting a little older, we'll see about that. But I think that's talent-wise. I think he jumps off the screen very well. Look at our guy, Tyler Linderbaum. Best win rate running-wise in the league last year as a rookie. So he's best in the win rate as far as that goes, according to ESPN. I think he's only going to get better and better. He's not this guy, though, I would say, clearly not as good of a pass blocker as he is a run blocker. But that's about it. I absolutely believe he can work on the run blocker because him as a run blocker is an A+. There's no question about it. Great athleticism. Lamar goes on and on about Tyler Linderbaum. Here's a guy, number 1 position for a long time. I have him at 2. Jason Kelsey, one of the best centers, I think, in the NFL. Definitely a leader. I'm glad he didn't retire. Talking of retiring, um, probably a lot of people would say he's at the end, maybe, but he's still. I mean, I think definitely a leader of that team. Centers generally are leaders as well. He's definitely a leader. I think he's outstanding for them. I think he was around even with during Andy Reid era, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was at their tail end. So he's been there for a while. Outstanding center Jason Kelsey. Creed Humphrey, number one in the NFL statistically at the center position. There is no question. He dominated the win rate. I mean, you looked at it, the win rate, the pass blocking, no penalties, things like that. Creed Humphrey, I don't think there's any question about it that he's number one. Uh, Physically, I don't know if he's the best, but stats show he's the best. That's why he's in the number one position. Creed Humphrey, best center in the NFL. So there you go. So did a couple lists there, so we went ahead and took care of that. So the centers, interior guys are very important. So we did the top 10 list there. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to do defense. We're going to start with defensive line as well, defensive end, defensive tackle. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that, our top 10 list. All right, we've been talking football. Let's shift to baseball here. Larger MLB topics we're going to go ahead and talk about on our podcast as well. We're going to get to the Orioles. Like to talk about there. We're going to get to the trade deadline as part of our baseball summer. Are the Mets and Yankees going to rebuild 2024? I think let's do Mets first because they kind of let the cat out of the bag. They told Scherzer that they weren't going to be building in 2024. We're not going to be going for the pen 2024. We're maybe letting go of some guys, but I think they kind of let the cat out of the bag. I'm not 1,000% sure I buy that. That could be right. I think it's smart if they do. They should. I think they've realized their pitching isn't strong enough. I think getting Diaz, losing him during the World Baseball Classic hurt them a lot. Even though David Robertson's been good, but I think that hurt them. Scherzer and Verlander just weren't as what they hoped for. And so they said, you know what? We have all this money. Let's just sell what we can and just start and just not even put so much pressure on ourselves, kind of like start building. Look, because they weren't going to go over the Braves and Phillies. I think that's the smart move. Will the Yankees? I don't know if I can't ever remember the Yankees rebuilding. They're worse than the Mets, quiet as kept. Even though the record's better, I don't think the Yankees are good at all. Their offense is not good. This tells you what you want to know. Judge comes back against the Orioles his first game. I think they walked him 3 times. Like, there's no reason to pitch to anybody else. Stanton hasn't worked out. Josh Donaldson hasn't worked out. Rizzo, I think, is hurt. Anthony Rizzo, I think, is hurt. Harrison Bader's played in black. They're still waiting on Anthony Volpe. I think Gabriel Torres has been good for him this year. They got no offense. Their pitching, I think, isn't as good as it was last year. So starting wise, they've been pretty good. They need to build. I don't think they will, though. I just don't think that's kind of what they do. I think they're going to go ahead and look at free agents to see how they can get better. I don't think it's the nature to rebuild. They should. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to win the division next year, but I think they should. Are the Rangers AL favorites with Max Scherzer? I don't think they're favorites, but I think it definitely helps a lot to have him. This is the time of year you want a Max Scherzer. I'm well aware he hasn't had his best season, but this is absolutely when you want a Max Scherzer. Here this time of year, absolutely he's what I'd be looking for. If I'm them, I think this is a great acquisition. I don't know if this puts you ahead of Baltimore. I think the Orioles have been really good. I don't think it puts you necessarily ahead of Houston. But I think it definitely helps. Definitely what they've done, though, has been phenomenal. But I don't know if they're the favorites. I don't know if they're the absolute favorites. I think that's a bit strong to say. They're right in the mix, but favorites is very strong. Why did the MLB release their schedule in July? Uh, because they're brain dead. Um, NBA and NFL do the schedule correctly. They wait until the season's over. They kind of like wait till free agency, and then they kind of like NFL is a great example. First game we're gonna have is the Lions and the Chiefs on the Thursday night. So you have the team that won the Super Bowl every Thursday night, the first game, and that's a big marquee game. There's no way you get the Lions if they'd have put the schedule out last year. That's a mistake. So you definitely don't want to do that. They, but they keep doing that, and the NBA kind of does the same thing. It's a little less formal, but they usually have the first game, the team that won the world title. Usually it's on TNT, and they play at home first game. And there's certain games they have big games on Christmas. That's the stuff the MLB's not doing. It seems as if the MLB, what they're trying to do is they're trying to beat the NFL and get dates that they want or dates that the NFL, and it seems that that's what they're trying to do. That's really not bright to me to have a schedule out in July. That just makes no sense. You shouldn't be doing that until at least January, you know. Then like you put the schedule out, et cetera, et cetera. But it seems like they're trying to beat the NFL out or beat the, all right, we got our schedule out, and that's that's all wrong. All right, not named Shohei Otani or Ronald Acuna Jr. Uh, who's in the MVP race? Uh, they're so far away. I think in the National League, I think it's a little easier. I think you're going to consider Matt Olson. You're going to consider Freddie Freeman. I think you're going to consider a couple people. I think the gap between Acuna and a lot of those guys is pretty wide, but I don't think it's as wide. I think if I think a difference. I think if he got hurt now, I don't think I don't know if Acuna for sure wins the MVP. Shohei Otani, I don't even know. Like, if he just stop now, he's going to be better than I think a lot of people in the American League. It's going to be very very difficult for anybody else not named Shohei Otani to win it in the American League. Um, who else is having a good season? Uh, there's a lot of guys having good seasons. Obviously, I'm really struggling to find a name that's not Shohei Otani in the American League. I think if I'm gonna say somebody, um, I really like what Vlad Jr. is doing. Vlad Guerrero Jr. That's one. I mean, I like him as a player. I think he's having a great season. Even a guy like Bo Bichette got hurt. Yeah, I don't think I don't know if anybody is close to Shohei in American League. I think Vlad Jr. I think is in consideration. I think if it is, but that's about it. I don't think there's anybody else even on the planet if it is a planet. Oh, one more here. I'm gonna add to this as well. Will Ryan Mountcastle or Cedric Mullins will be traded? Let me fix that up there. There you go. Will Ryan Mountcastle and Cedric Mullins be traded before next season? This is going to be very interesting to see what the Orioles do. We're going to talk about the trade deadline here in a second, but I think we're to the point now where Santander, Mullins, Mountcastle, they're going to be starting to want more money. Now they're no longer, they're kind of the godfather group of these young guys. Like, if you can make sense, they're no longer, they're still young guys, obviously, in grand scheme, but they're no longer these kids. They're going to want real money. And it'll be interesting to see. The Orioles have been so hesitant to spend any money uh, to see what you do. O'Hearn has been getting more at bats. The Orioles, they just drafted a guy in the first round, kind of like a Mullins type, a leadoff type. Um, we'll see what happens. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that they're on the team next year. Well, I keep saying, I've been saying it the last few years, but Santander is about $7 million, I think. Mullins, I think, is going to be about that. Mountcastle, maybe not quite as much, but knowing the way the Orioles do things, they might just give that job to Colton Cowser. They might just give that job to Westbrook. They might want to do that. That's possible. I don't think it's possible. I'm not sure that they get traded. I think we're at the point with those guys where they're going to get moved. I don't think they're going to get a long term. I don't think Orioles are going to give out any long term deals. Okay, baseball summer. So we got the last few of these here. Baseball summer. We've been going over. Just to recap the whole series here, we've been going over mostly. We've been going a lot of minor league baseball. We did a lot of college baseball. We did college World Series. We did the draft. We've been going over things that aren't necessarily Orioles things, right? So some of it is minor leagues. Some of it has been College World Series. We went over high school players in the draft that are coming out in the draft, minor league prospects, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and the last few here, we're going to go over MLB trade deadline. And also, too, coming up here, Little League World Series, we're going to go ahead and talk about that as well. So we're going to go over this. Now, we can't go over all the trades. So, Father, forgive me if I miss one, but we'll go over a lot of the trades. Let's start with Orioles first, obviously. Jack Flaherty comes from the Cardinals. They give up Cesar Prado, Drew Rom, and Zach Showalter in the trade. So this is a good trade for the Orioles. I think Jack Flaherty's better than anybody that the Orioles have right now. Is he an A-plus stud? No. But is he a solid B? Probably. I think there's a very good chance with Flaherty that, especially pitching in a pitching park like Camden Yards has become now since they moved the fences back, and with a team as good as the Orioles are, he could definitely win 5-6 games and rattle off a couple wins. Also, to a guy been in the playoffs before, so it's not a guy here. Even though he's a veteran guy, you can bring in a veteran guy, playoff experience. So he's been there before. The Cardinals, I think, are on a complete sell-off. They said as much. They have I think their winning seasons are coming to an end. And these prospects, these are Cardinal-like prospects. They would have taken number one prospects, but you can better believe, as good as they are at defining players, they've always kind of take guys like a Drew Rom, like a Prado, like a Zach. They have their eye on these guys. So not necessarily always top flight projects like the Braves, etc., have done, but I believe they have full confidence in these guys and they know exactly what they're getting. Justin Verlander going back to Houston from cash for the Mets. They got Drew Gilbert, a couple of minor leaguers. Drew Gilbert and Ryan Gaw, a couple of minor leaguers. Paul Geelong goes for Paul Geelong, I think, going from the Blue Jays, going to the Blue Jays, rather, from the Cardinals. This tells me Bo Bichette's going to be out for a while if they stay with the Blue Jays, because I don't think they make this trade otherwise. Bo Bichette got hurt when they were playing the Orioles. He was injured. So you're doing a deal like this. This tells me you are going to have him out for a minute. Justin Verlander went back home. No surprise. A They went ahead, took him back. Astros fan I know calls him Grandpa. Um, I think he hasn't had a great season, but he has to be good for 2 months. This is his time of year. That's a good move. Here's a guy Orioles had their eye on. All right, there you go. Michael Lorenzen was with the Tigers. I know the Orioles had their eye on him simply because I think he was a low cost option. He was pretty good. So I think the Orioles had their eye on him. They go ahead and get a minor leaguer as well. Hal Yuli. Padres. Scott Bauer from the Royals for Henry Williams. Not a high profile trade, but this tells me Padres did not sell really at the trade deadline. So they are not giving up at all. So that matters. Padres kept their players. They didn't trade Josh Hader. They didn't trade Blake Snell. They went and kept some guys. So big deal there. Let's go to the next one here. And again, we couldn't possibly go over all of them, but just the bigger ones, the more relevant one. Josh Bell, acquired from the Marlins for my boy, Gene Segura. Also to Khalil Wilson, and they also got Khalil Wilson. Padres get Rich Hill, former Oriole, Ji-Min Choi from the Padres, which is selling after a great start. They get Jackson Wolf, Edward Zoro, and Rafael Rivas there. So Josh Bell says about the Guardians too. Guardians aren't dead yet, but I think Bell kind of struggled for him. Maybe he's not as well as he hoped. They need the help. I think Segura kind of like fits more with them as well. I think that's why they need to trade. I think Rich Hill, that tells me again, they're not giving up. They spent a lot of money. The Mets were selling. Padres weren't selling. So they went ahead and they're going forward. D-backs acquire Paul Sewald from the Mariners for Josh Rojas, Dominic Cazone, a couple minor leaguers, infield runner Bliss. So this is a guy with 21 saves. So this tells you where you're going to be. They're looking for bullpen help. This is their best reliever. So that kind of tells you where the Mariners are as far as giving up. I'm a little surprised that they were. Now, this could be a thing where they are confident in the guy, their next guy, kind of similar to but the Orioles, where it kind of looked like, when they got rid of Lopez last year, Jorge Lopez, and then they already knew they wanted Felix Bautista as their closer. It could be that, but that, I don't know. 21 saves, that's a lot to give up at the deadline. Jordan Montgomery, go ahead and acquire from the Rangers for 3 minor leaguers. So that's a good signing. Another Cardinals there, Jordan Montgomery. So Cardinals again with their sell-off as well. Jordan Hicks, another Cardinals. He's already pitched for them now. This was a couple days ago. Jordan Hicks going from the Cardinals to the Blue Jays as well. And the alpha dog, Matt Scherzer, going for Luis Angel Acuna, little brother of Acuna Jr. that we were just talking about. Matt Scherzer, I think, is an outstanding veteran pitcher. I think he's probably towards the tail end. Definitely helps the Rangers. I definitely have no problem with that. Rangers, I think it's. I'm not as shocked as everybody else is by the Rangers. I think what they're doing. And I think Jordan Hicks helps the Blue Jays. Blue Jays just got to just win some games in the division. I mean, it doesn't help the Orioles, obviously. But definitely, that's the only thing wrong with them. They have offense on that team. They have Vlad Guerrero. Bo Bichette, did get injured. They're really good. I think almost in any other division, they'd be right there. They're beating the teams in the other division. So the Blue Jays are still fighting. So a lot of activity here at the trade deadline there as well. Interesting to see who sold. Interesting to see who bought. I thought the Rangers got the best. I think they were the biggest winner. I thought the Rangers getting Scherzer, I think helped them a lot. I think that's probably, to me, the biggest winner of all the trades. Yankees didn't do much. I think they're kind of throwing in the towel a bit. I think they kind of know I think that's kind of why they didn't do as much. I think if they had a chance to like get Shohei Ohtani or something, obviously, but unless it was massive, I didn't think they were going to do it. I think that's kind of right. I think they made some minor moves, but I wasn't as shocked with the Yankees. I mean, they're in last place, even though they're above 500. I mean, I don't think I think they kind of know they're not going to overtake the Orioles and the Braves. I don't think that's in the cards for them. All right. So let's say we go what Rex Barney would say, your Baltimore Orioles. Let's recap July. And what a July was. Orioles in great shape this year, 65-41. That was the record of July 31st. They won 7 out of the last 10. Not only first in the AL East, first best record in the entire American League. Playoffs start today. Orioles wouldn't even have to play the first round. They'd be the number 1 seed in the buy. You can buy your tickets at the Camden Yards box office. As we used to say, I used to go to that company. Like, I didn't go all the way downtown for old timers. You used to buy tickets like Ticketmaster, like at certain Ticketmaster places, like Heck Company. Right. So Heck Company, you could go buy the tickets right there. When you didn't want to go downtown, you don't want to go to the box office, whatever. Like, that was before the online days, right? You go Ticketmaster. Because you're definitely going to have Oriole playoff tickets here. Oh, let's take a look at the recap here. Adley, batting order, I'm going to start there. Batting order is shuffled all the time. It's almost hard to pinpoint exactly who's hitting where. So I kind of moved it around. This has been a revolving door. I think the hitters have done well considering how much they've moved. So the hitters have moved around a lot in the batting order. I hate that he's hitting first. He's the unquestioned leader of the team, Adley Rutschman. He doesn't have as many RBIs as he should. I think that's why he's hitting first and second. I'm a bit old school. In that sense, I like for him to be hitting third. I like for him to hitting third and then put Santander in the fourth spot. That's kind of not the way managers operate. They kind of want guys. They kind of ignoring the second spot as kind of like the leadoff spot is a table building spot, but they put guys right in there. I think that's why he has far less RBIs. No complaints on that. Unquestioned leader. I think he's been fantastic. I mean, he's been hitting a lot of home runs. I think the RBI total hasn't been what I like. I think that's mostly because he's hitting first and second all the time. Garner's been on a roll. I think the average is coming up, and I think he's now pushing for Rookie of the Year. I don't know if it'll be Xiak Jung, but I think he's been fantastic. He's definitely hitting with power. That's exactly what he's doing. I think he's a little still overrated at shortstop. I like him at third base a lot better than I like him at short, but he's been outstanding the last month. So is Anthony Santander. He's leading the team in home runs and RBIs. He's been on a roll. I think his first 2 months weren't great. I think he's healthy. I think you honestly get a lot of good stuff out of Anthony Santander. He's been great, I think, the last 2 months. Ryan O'Hearn, I think he's been staying at first base all year. He's been able to keep Mountcastle on the bench. Average isn't quite as high, but I love his hitting situation. He's hitting when he needs to hit. Whenever they have a key spot, Ryan O'Hearn gets a hit. Ryan O'Hearn, and he's been able to. I'm saying he's pretty much had. He's pretty much had Mountcastle on the bench, pretty much. Although there's been rotating in and out. Sorry about that. Somebody keeps trying to call me. I've been telling them I'm recording a video. All right. Austin Hayes cooling a bit as far as that goes. But he has been pretty good. I think still. I think Hayes' bat has been steady. He's been fighting through an injury, though. So I think he hasn't played quite as much, and there's been a lot of shuffling in the lineup. Cole Kauser getting a chance. Hasn't really hit a whole lot yet, but I think I'm very happy to get him in there, especially if you have Mullins. Still don't have a table for him. Hicks with a great catch, but he hurt his wrist at the time. So definitely glad to have Kauser in there. Ramon Urias kind of turned into the super utility player for the Orioles as well. I think that's kind of his role. He's kind of moving around a lot, not a lot statistically, but decent. Mountcastle's been on a roll lately. Um, a lot of DH though I've noticed. Not still they're not taking out Ronald Hearn, but a lot of DH. I think him and basically Rushman and Urias have basically been kind of manning that DH spot there. Adam Frazier, I think, is been holding off Westberg. He's been on a roll. I mean, he's had a lot of home runs. I think he's like third on the team or fourth on the team in home runs. So good for him. He's kind of been, y'all already know Jordan Westberg. Adam Frazier's had something to say about that. So good for him. Westberg, I think, not bad for a rookie. Decent start. I think I like to see the average come up a bit for him. Good play discipline. I like that. He's not swinging his stuff like garbage. A lot of young players swinging a lot of garbage. He hasn't done that. Let's go through this here. Kyle Gibson, I think, and Dean Kramer, I'll talk about them together. They both have been about the same. I think they both benefited from run support. Kramer's got, I think, even with good run support the other game, he still didn't get out of the fifth inning. Come on, man. You could do better than that. I like to see a little bit more. Kyle Gibson, I think, has been really good for them as well. About same. I think they could do better. But they've been good enough. They've been getting a lot of run support. It seems like they pitch well when they need to. Tyler Wells sent down to AA, not even AAA, AA. Once I saw the move, I said, well, they're moving it for somebody, and they were Jack Flaherty. I think Wells is really short. The innings haven't been there. I think that's got to be a thing they're looking at, too. He doesn't pitch well in games, even when he pitches well. Doesn't pitch long in games. Kyle Bradish, about the same. Again, he kind of has the same problem. When he pitches well, he's only giving you 5 innings. That's kind of a thing. Grayson getting there, about 6.2 ERA. Better. We're still kind of waiting on Grayson. Probably your biggest concern. This isn't a concern. The bullpen has been outstanding. Batista didn't even give up any runs at all in June. That's crazy. 28 saves. I think he's definitely a candidate for the Cy Young. Yadier Cano was fantastic. Kalino Perez, I thought, has gotten better during the course of the month. I thought that game in Philly, I thought it was outstanding in the ninth inning. I thought it was very courageous and heroic. The way he pitched in that situation, giving up the run in the ninth, getting the save when Cano and Batista couldn't come in. Brian Baker, surprisingly to me, was sent to delay. They had to move somebody, so they had to move Brian Baker. Mike Baumann has been fantastic. I thought this would be the guy to get moved. Cole Irvin, he stays 5.93. It's been bad out of the bullpen, not terrible. And Fujinami has been good from the start. He wasn't good yesterday. I don't know what was going on yesterday in the Blue Jays game, but I think he's been better than his ERA has shown their outstanding stuff for him as well. So there you go. Orioles report in July. We're going to recap it as well. So lot to like right now. Orioles are going to the playoffs. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of can they hold on to the best record in the American League and win the division. That's going to be very telling for them as well. We will see you in Harper's Ferry. So we will be there on Saturday out there as well. We might do a little bit of content as well. We will see you out there. We're going to go ahead, and if you're looking for jerseys and hats, you'll be there. Ravori Sports will be there on Saturday. Thank you very much for watching the podcast this week, Ravori Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast. You guys have a great rest of your day.